Hello, hello. Today I'm going to be sharing 3 ways that you can know if your sealing wax is not the right temperature. So it's kind of like 3 things to look for that are red flags when you're making your wax seals. So I've put on my wax and it seems like it's the right temperature. I'm going to put my stamp in and then we're going to let it cool for a minute. And it's cooling really fast, but then when I pull it up, if I look at it, you can see there's these little lines. If you can see those there, like little grooves that are in the stamp. And what's happening is the wax just isn't quite hot enough. It's super close to where it looks like it's hot enough when you're pouring it out of the gun. But if you're seeing a bunch of seals with these little lines on it, that means that the wax isn't quite hot enough. You need to let it heat up just a little bit more. The wax is cool now, so I'm going to take this off. And you can see on this one, I got a lot better impression. So if you look in the space where the design isn't, I'm not seeing any of those lines. So if we compare, I'm trying to see if I can get this good on the camera. But you can see how this one's nice and smooth and flat, and this one has these bumpy ridges inside. So this is what we don't want. This is what we do want. And the trick to this is just to make sure that you let your gun heat up a little bit more. So one way that you're gonna know that it's too hot is how runny it is. So if you see as I pour that, I'll pour another one over here. It's not holding its shape as well. It's spreading out a lot more. And then once I put my stamp in, it just feels more runny as I'm doing it. And it's gonna take a lot longer to cool because it's a lot hotter. Where my other ones, I could, start to pull up and pull it off. This one's gonna take a little longer to cool. I'm gonna pull this one off. This one, the look of it doesn't look that bad. I've noticed the metallic waxes, so like this one, hold their shape better when they're too hot. Whereas your aqua color or like a solid white, a matte color, those tend to spread a lot more. But it's just a lot more flat as well because it's thinner and warmer. The actual thickness of the seal, this one feels a lot lighter and like kind of bendy, not as substantial, where this one feels a little bit stronger and more sturdy. I'm gonna know my wax is too hot is if I see bubbles in it. So if I do a squeeze and you can see there's these little tiny bubbles starting to form in it, and that can be an indication, see there's one right there. That means the wax is boiling. That's what's happening here. And so I can still use it and put my stamp in, but I'm gonna get little areas like this where the bubbles come out to the lip, to the edge, and then I'm gonna get little bubbles in my wax seal. So it's just not a good look. There's nothing wrong with it and you can still use it, but I think it's best to let your glue gun cool off by unplugging it, and then you can keep working and it will cool back down for you. I hope those tips were helpful for you. When I'm making my wax seals, I'm constantly unplugging my glue gun and replugging it back in. So I'm constantly gauging the temperature, and that's how I control it. So even if your glue gun is on low temp, it still can get too hot if you're making several wax seals at a time. And so just be aware of that. If it's starting to get too runny, if you're noticing bubbles, just unplug it and you can keep making your wax seals. And then if you're still making it and you're noticing like, oh, it's kind of seizing up, the wax isn't coming out anymore, then just plug it back in and it'll warm back up. So that's how I regulate the temperature, is I'm just constantly unplugging the glue gun and replugging it back in. Anyway, I hope this helped. Let me know if you have questions as you're making wax seals. I'd love to help in any way that I can.